Jasper Planning Commission to order, please. And ask that the agenda be reviewed and approved. Need a motion? Okay. Those in favor? Okay. Need to approve the minutes from the November 30th meeting. And if you will, Mr. Douglas, if you will, to read those, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Robert Walker, acting as Commission Chairman, called the meeting to order promptly at 6 p.m. This is for the minutes from the Planning Commission public hearing Friday, November 30th of 2018. Chairman Walker asked that the agenda be reviewed and approved by the Commission. Martha Poole made a motion to approve the agenda. Luke Copeland seconded the motion. Motion carried by 2-0 with Chairman Walker's vote not necessary. City Clerk Lisa Hoyle read the minutes of the November 7th, 2018 public hearing. Martha Poole made a motion to adopt the minutes as read. Chairman Walker seconded the motion. Motion carried 2-0 with Chairman Walker's vote not being necessary. Chairman Walker recognized Sonny Underwood, Director of Planning and Zoning, and Jim Lenny to present to the Commission a request from J.R. McLaughlin of Annex Investment Services, LLC, the applicant, to request zoning changes on the following 6 land parcels. Number 1, parcel 030D094028 of 2 acres located on Jonah Lane. Number 2, parcel 030D094029 of 1.91 acres located on Jonah Lane. Number 3, parcel 030D094031 of 2.28 acres located on Jonah Lane. Parcel 030D094032 of 1.99 acres located on Jonah Lane. Number 5, parcel 030D094033 of 1.98 acres located on Jonah Lane. Number 6, parcel 030D094034 of 2 acres located on Jonah Lane. Mr. Underwood stated that this item was tabled at the November 7th, 2018 public hearing. All parcels are owned by Deb and Cheyenne LLC. He stated the applicant is requesting all properties be changed from C2 General Commercial to R3 High Density Multifamily Residential. Chairman Walker entertained a motion. Luke Copeland made a motion to recommend that the City Council approve the zoning change. Martha Poole seconded the motion. The motion carried 2-0 with Chairman Walker's vote not being necessary. Martha Poole made a motion to adjourn. Luke Copeland seconded the motion. Chairman Walker adjourned the meeting.
Need a motion to approve those minutes as read? Need a second? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Okay, and that's carried. No old business. We ask that, if you will, Sonny, to bring us up to date on what we got going tonight.
First piece of business we have before this commission is request to rezone JA 15069 at 634 South Main Street from R1 residential to C1A office residential. And Mr. Douglas is going to give y'all some information about this lot.
Thank you, Sonny. Mr. Chairman, Commission, I believe the applicant is here tonight, so I think we can hear from them if recognized. But nonetheless, from the staff perspective, we did receive this application. We did review it, and there is a staff report associated with it, which just kind of enumerates some of the points in our zoning ordinance for just assessing the requested rezoning. We did speak with the applicant. Originally, it was requested for C1. We did confirm that based upon their request, predominantly just as a residential area and for just a real estate office, they were comfortable with a C1A. I think if that's still consistent with the applicant, staff reviewed it predicated on the C1A and not the C1. Which is just a little more restrictive for a residential neighborhood. So with that, I can answer any questions associated with the staff report, but if the applicants want to and y'all want to entertain them to kind of just give a little update on their property and their use, certainly may.
Yes. Yes, sir. Would you like to come up and tell us about it, please?
Sure. Hey, I'm Rachel. So this is going to be work with Keller Williams, and we're wanting to have this as our office. So it will just be myself and my team. So it won't be an entire Keller Williams office. It will just be for my team to use.
And the occasional client that wants
Yeah.
to come by and see our office.
Yeah. So we'll probably leave the house the same because I love the historic charm of it.
And I don't want to change it, so.
Yeah, I like the historic. That's pretty much it. So not a lot of traffic or anything, just a couple clients a week.
Nobody?
No. This is my first zoning meeting, so I'm like.
This is all right. Thank y'all very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wants to say anything about it? Okay, we need a motion. Going forward.
Mr. Chairman, I move that parcel number JA15069 at 634 South Main Street, Jasper,
To be changed.
to be changed and to be rezoned into the city of Jasper, rezoned from residential to C1A.
Okay.
Signed and dated this date.
Need a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Well, I have a few people that have contacted me with concerns about putting another commercial in an area that right now, you know, it sort of stops there at Dixon's. It's just residential all the way up. And I have had some input from, I would say mostly that are residents of South Main Street, that they would hope that that would not be commercial. So I'm just sharing that with you, that there is some negative feelings there, but, you know, I'm sure there always is.
Okay. Vote. We need a vote. Let's see how it stands. All those in favor say aye. Okay. Those against? Okay. Since it's now, I vote that we do accept it into the city, or into the change from R1 to the C1A. Okay. All those in favor? Okay. That passed. Okay, Sonny, if you'll tell us about the next property.
Okay. Mr. Douglas is gonna get my,
And yes, Mr. Chairman, I do think that the applicant's here as well for item B, the request to rezone a portion, 3.65 acres of parcel number 041015 at 1317 West Church Street from C2, general commercial, to R3, high density multifamily residential. Just consistent with the last applicant, staff has kind of generated a report. The original application had requested for 48-unit apartment housing for 55 plus, age restricted. They had originally requested a variance for parking and unit size. However, they have withdrawn that variance request. So the item before you tonight is merely for the rezone request from R3 to, or from the commercial to the residential. The way that the item is listed, you'll notice that this is a portion of a larger tract, approximately 15 acres, which consists of the parcel. The portion of 3.65 has been surveyed out, and you'll have a supplemental pages aside from your packet that's got an aerial, the larger tract that's adjacent to the assisted living center across from the post office. So I give you that by way of a reference point. So when the applicant speaks, you'll know kind of the general area. The portion, the 3.65 acres, there's a survey. It has been surveyed out. And so in that way, it can be parcel on its own that can be recorded and have an accompanying parcel number identified with it, since we don't want to have split zoning on just one parcel. So that has been completed by the applicant, so that is in order. And with that, that's staff comments at this time, Mr. Chairman.
And we have someone here for that property. If you'd like to come up, sir.
Yes, sir.
Tell us who you are.
I'm Gary Hammond, and I'm the applicant. And if I may, I'd like to give each of you a brochure with some additional information in it that I'll reference during my presentation. May I be seated to present, please? Thank you. As I said, my name is Gary Hammond. I live in Dunwoody, Georgia, and my place of business is in Sandy Springs. I'm asking you to support rezoning the 3.65 acres from C2 to R3 for the purpose of building 48 apartment units for seniors aged 55 and older. The property is located at the southwest corner of graded land that the Wigingtons own, near where they sold the Windsor Lodge property, which was developed into an assisted living facility. Access to the Windsor Lodge is primarily by Sammy McGee Boulevard, as will the 3.65 acres be. We're going to extend the road that is across from the post office and is the south side of Windsor Lodge into the community which we're calling the Peaks of Jasper. The brochure that I handed you has the conceptual site plan showing the extension of the road from Sammy McGee into the property. And I've included 3 photographs. The first photograph is standing with my back at Windsor Lodge and looking across at 3.65 acres. You'll see the zoning sign there, and in the distance there's a trailer that's parked at the very corner, southwest corner of the property. The bank is there, the car dealership, etc. The second picture is with me standing on the 3.65 acres, looking back across towards Windsor Lodge. what the view would be like there, and that will be at the front elevation of the building. And then the third picture is a photograph of a very similar building in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, that is nearing completion, that this community is fashioned after. It's basically the same building footprint, unit styles, and community areas. And then finally, I handed you a 3-page document with a blow-up of our community spaces. There's 48 units, but on the center of the building is the entrance with a large great room, leasing and management space. And then the second floor, which I'll talk about further, has congregation spaces and specific spaces for the residents to congregate and to benefit from with our services that we'll provide. And then the third floor also has a conditioned sunroom near the elevator for congregating. And then finally, in the brochure is a page of other communities I've built around Georgia and the southeast. The building will be 3 stories and serviced by an elevator. At the center will be the management, leasing, and community space, and that will stack up through the building to the second and third floor. The first floor will have a large great room, kitchenette, sunroom, and patio. The second floor will have a wellness center, computer center, fitness center, and sunroom. And the third floor will have a sunroom. Left and right of the entryway will be 24 apartments on the left side, 24 apartments on the right side that consists of 1 and 2 bedrooms that are split evenly between 24 one-bedrooms, 24 two-bedrooms. Each apartment will be fully equipped with a stove, oven, dishwasher, refrigerator, microwave oven, garbage disposal, and they'll be attractively appointed with floor coverings and fixtures, plumbing fixtures, etc. And the building will be constructed to a green building standard, which is a requirement for the program we're using to finance it. The project's a joint venture between a company called Resource Housing Group, which is an Atlanta-based nonprofit, and I've been joint venturing with them for 15 years in Georgia and other states. I've been in business in Georgia for 25 years, of which the last 15 years I've primarily been specializing in housing, and Resource Housing Group's been in business for 30 years. To date, I've developed 31 communities totaling 3,105 units across the southeast. The bulk of those are in Georgia, 22 are in Georgia, which is my home state. My projects have served seniors and families. They've run the full gamut of style, multifamily, single family. I've done acquisition renovations, adaptive reuse of schools and historic buildings, and I've even built memory care communities. But for all of my rental housing communities, I'm a long-term owner. I'm tied to the community for at least 15 years, and the financing I'm using for this year's application is a 30-year commitment that it'll remain affordable to the families I'm going to talk about, or excuse me, the seniors I'm going to talk about here shortly. I'll be competing with other developers across the state for financing that's allocated by the Georgia Department of Community Affairs. You guys have a wonderful community here in Jasper. I've driven here a dozen times now, back and forth between meeting with the property owner and meeting with city staff and for various meetings. The state feels the same way, and they incentivize us to pick out communities like yours, and they incentivize us to pick out the very best sites that we can find in the communities. Often the ones that are the most visible and proximate to shopping, services, and if possible, to be walkable. Because of that, we often rezone, even if we can find a property that's already properly zoned. We will compete better if we find a site that's similar to the one that I'm bringing before you tonight. Our community will target an income bracket that is so hard to finance and so hard to develop across our country. It's not just your community, but it's my community that I live in as well. We're struggling to meet the needs of retirees with modest savings and retirement income sources. These are hardworking individuals that are reaching retirement age and have limited savings and are often forced to stay in the workforce and delay retirement. Our residents have provided valuable products and services, during their working career. They're often the ones who've educated our kids, they've kept us safe, provided essential government services. There are teachers, our first responders, and folks that work in restaurant, healthcare, and retail. The financing program we use is exactly for this purpose. We are geared towards a specific income bracket, and we are able, with our financing, to build an extremely high quality community that is comparable to market rate independent living when it's a senior project, or market rate when it's a family project. But instead of renting for $1,500 per month, our rents are going to range from $450 to $675 per month, and that would be the rent to the landlord. They would still have costs associated with utilities. The community will be professionally managed, and residents will be required to have a source of income to pay their rent. They're on fixed, limited incomes, often Social Security, and that's what they'll use to pay rent. Some will still be in the workforce, while others will be relying on Social Security or retirement income sources. Residents will all be required to pass criminal, credit, and landlord reference checks. We'll offer supportive services geared towards wellness, healthy eating, and financial independence. We'll promote social interaction with planned activities in the congregation spaces that I've mentioned previously. And depending on household size, in this case, most households would be one person, but there could be two-person households. Household incomes will range between $1,400 and $2,500 per month. Finally, all units will be handicap accessible, 3 of which will be fully equipped from the start. Others can be equipped, they're adaptable, and one will be fully equipped for the audio and visually impaired from the beginning. So many seniors live paycheck to paycheck and are rent overburdened, often paying more than 50% of their income towards rent. So many seniors are reaching retirement age with insufficient sources to pay rent at good quality complexes like I'm proposing. The financing we use is for the stated goal of a rent that is 30% of income. And if you are able to reduce that housing cost, you have other sources for essential needs like food, transportation, and health care. In closing, please support our request for rezoning. We are going to add to the tax base without adding to the school system. We're going to pay our fair share of fees that are associated with permitting and construction and review of a project like this. We'll employ a significant number of people during construction, and we'll create a permanent job for management and maintenance of the property once complete. And I'm quite confident that this community will be a valuable resource to Jasper and its citizens for many years to come. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to make any comments?
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move parcel number 041015 at 1317 West Church Street, Jasper, Georgia, be rezoned from C2 to R3. David and Son, please.
Okay. Need a second on that? A second that motion. Any discussion? Any vote? All those in favor, say aye. Those opposed? Vote yes for it. Okay. Motion carried. Mr. Douglas, if you will, go ahead and tell us about the next property.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, Commission, the next hearing is request to annex and rezone parcel number 0410190001 at 3717 Camp Road from Pickens County zoning to city zoning C2. I believe the applicant is here tonight. However, just from staff comments, this parcel is eligible for annexation into the city. We have confirmed that there are available utilities for this parcel. And just to kind of give everyone an idea, I believe it's adjacent to the QT along 515. I know the applicant may have a better way to describe it, but nonetheless, it is, I'm not sure if if the zoning in the description is correct in the Pickens County. I don't know if it's C3 or NC, but nonetheless, what staff looked at was a comparable commercial zoning through that corridor along 515. So with that, I'll turn it over to the chair for any applicant words.
This property sits more behind the QT.
Correct.
That's it in the.
Like you said, it'd be Logan Jewel Shop.
Okay, who is with that property? Sir.
David
You tell us who you are?
Schaus.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
My reason for rezoning this building is right now I feel this building is a blight to not only the city but the county. A lot of visitors pulling the Quick Trip, sea kudzu, nasty metal building. I'm planning to remodel it, make it attractive to value added and sustainable business. Not exactly sure what's going to go in there. I want to be very selective on what goes in there. I do need sewer to the building. Every business that calls needs that sewer connection. Had several very well-known restaurants, national chains call, not fast food. I would not want that there. Very interested in the property. They require sewer, obviously. Not saying that's the end use, but just going to be very selective. But right now, I just want to get the building remodeled and maybe a tear down after we remodel it. I'm not sure, but at least be able to offer it to some sort of business to come here and add value to the community. That's preted much it. No intended use right now. It is neighborhood commercial in the county, which does me absolutely.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Need a motion?
Okay, make a motion to move that parcel number 0410190001, located at 3717 Camp Road, Jasper, Georgia, be rezoned from Pickens County zoning of C3 to City of Jasper zoning C2, and that it be annexed into the city.
Need a motion? Second on that?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Martha?
Because I don't really know anything.
Now, is the city going to put the sewer in there, you say? Do you know yet?
Yes, sir. From what I know on the property, there is a septic tank on it, but I believe the sewer is right across the road, and as soon as everything's legal, we'll pull a permit and we'll go ahead and connect sewer up and pay the fees or whatever we need to pay. Right now, I believe it's serviced by county water. I'm not sure on that, but we're going to obviously switch everything over to the city. That's the problem when people are wanting to move up here and talk to you about the property. They don't want to wait 3 or 4 months for the annexation and contingency that you're gonna be able to offer that, and sometimes we miss the butts on that.
Okay.
So,
All right. All those in favor?
Yeah.
All right. Motion carried. Okay. All right, Mr. Douglas.
Mr. Chairman, Commission, next hearing before you, discussion of proposed amendment to the definitions of permitted and conditional uses by district of the City of Jasper zoning ordinance. Mr. Underwood and I have spoken, and from time to time, we kind of run across things in the zoning ordinance that is specific. There's a specific use by way of in the definitions in your packet. I just included section 94-2, just the different definitions, alphabetized, as it pertains to apartments, drive-ins, just everything that in the zoning ordinance that you could try to define as a use. The very end, towards the end of the definitions, when you get closer to the STs, and we have included, because right now it's silent in the zoning ordinance, which means it's not specifically tied to a particular zoning district. So if someone were to come in, for instance, this is for tonight, is for vape shop. So what we have to do is, this is not to regulate the products, this is merely to identify the vape shops as they open up, give them a definition which mirrors that of state code as well as some other jurisdictions. And then once that definition is included in the zoning ordinance, then the next section of 94-81, as it pertains to permitted and conditional uses in the districts, when you have the different zoning districts, RA, R1, R2, R3, C1A, C1, C2, CBD, and M1, of those zoning districts, you can now include, you'll notice everything from ambulance service, antique shops, once again alphabetized all the way to the very end page of your packet. We have put in under water treatment facilities the vape shop. And so what staff recommended was to create the definition as well as to put it in with some additional uses, so that when we were to get some sort of application for business license, we now know where that particular business can be located in what zoning district. So consistent with some other uses within this districts, we've chosen to put it as C2 and the industrial M1. So the other zoning districts, they would not be permitted to open up a business in those zoning classifications. So it's kind of a standard operating procedure to just kind of give us clarification when we have certain businesses or uses come through. So if y'all have any questions, or if there's call to questions later, I'll be more than happy to entertain. This is just, like I said, it can be conditional uses, it can be put in any number of ways, but just thought we'd initiate the conversation.
Anybody else got anything?
No coming at us.
Any motion to adjourn? Second. Meeting adjourned. Thank y'all very much.